Hello, good morning. Um, I should probably just say good day because just because I'm recording in the morning doesn't mean you're watching it in the morning. So, good day, everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I am going to respond to the Duty Ron video live stream where he had Lauren Matthias from Hidden True Crime on to help spread her lies about Christina. My disclaimer is that I don't have any mental health credentials. I don't have any credentials in particular. I'm an ex-mechanic with an English degree. These are just my opinions. I'm doing this for your entertainment and mine. And yeah, so let's get started. Okay, so the first thing I wanted to say about this is that these guys have over 500,000 subscribers, and the fact that they just went ahead and took Lauren's word for everything without doing any investigating of their own is the first irresponsible thing that they did before we even start watching them. So yeah, fun, right? So here we go. I'm going to press play and I'm going to respond basically as this is the first time I'm seeing this.
Good evening, friends, and welcome to another edition of Crime Time with Duty Ron and Ed Wallace. You guys know the drill. We're retired New York City police detectives and 9/11 World Trade Center first responders. If you like all things true crime related from the police detective's perspective, hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell so you get all things Duty Ron and this guy right here, Ed Wallace, when we go live or upload another video. Hey, tonight we want to talk about a subject that is very, very, it's a very...
I mean, these guys are cops, right? Like, do they not have any sense of duty? Duty, Ron? To the public? To victims? To just take Lauren's word for it and spread it all on their quite influential channel is so irresponsible.
Dangerous topic, and we want to touch on this topic because it involves a good friend.
The topic isn't dangerous, but okay, if that's the level of analysis we're gonna go with. Good to know.
Friend of ours, Hidden True Crime, Lauren Matthias, and her family.
She's our friend, so we back her up without doing any research.
Cyber stalking and bullying and the like online. We have touched on this in the past, Ed. We did live streams for a lot of other creators who have been experiencing this, but we know that it happens to the everyday Joe citizen. Everyday guys, gals get stalked and harassed online on a regular basis. Doesn't matter if it's YouTube, doesn't matter if it's TikTok, whatever the platform.
So they're not defining stalking and harassing, which is problematic to begin with.
Actions have serious consequences sometimes, and sometimes people lose their lives based on the harassment, stalking, and the rhetoric that gets fired up in between the conversations on Twitter and Instagram and X, and stories get twisted, and people that are somewhat angry with the particular creator or person.
Stories do get twisted, don't they, Duty Ron? Important to remember that when we're discussing this dangerous topic.
Could now be pushed over onto the other side of that fence. And I want you to talk a little bit about, what we're going to get into with our good friend Lauren from Hidden True Crime tonight. She's going to be joining us in a few minutes, Ed.
So I can tell you we're going to get into a whole heap of lies and projection, but let's hear what Ed has to say.
Whoops, I did that wrong, Ed. Where did you go? There you go. Go ahead, Ed.
I can't stand bullying of any kind, whether it's kids at school.
Excuse me, well, that's good to know. So once he learns what Lauren's been up to, we can assume that he's going to have a big change of heart about Hidden True Crime.
Online, cyberbullying, whatever you want to call it, I have no place for that in my stomach. I cannot stand that, okay? And nothing gets me more riled up than when parents of children who are bullies start bullying children as well. But
I am going to get so annoyed with the sanctimoniousness of these two, considering that they have swallowed this tale from Lauren hook, line, and sinker without investigating any of it to see who the bully is. It's so irresponsible. I don't know what else to say.
There's bullying, and then there's stalking. No, these are two different things, but you can do both and be both, okay, at the same time. But now you're getting into the world of Ron and I, and we're going to be giving you our perspectives as retired New York City detectives of how we had to deal with things like this in our careers.
So, literally, I have to now just go, well, I have no respect for your opinions because you have done literally zero research. As a cop, you have swallowed whole a story from one person claiming to be a victim.
Women had to go and get orders of protection from our courts to help protect them from stalkers, ex-boyfriends, ex-husbands, okay, things of that nature. And remember, I always tell you, stay prepared, stay safe, and watch your six. And it's for a reason, okay? Even though you get these orders of protection, they're just paper, okay? You still have to take the appropriate protective actions for yourself and your family.
I mean, yes, I agree with him. They are just paper. In terms of being actually able to protect you, if somebody's determined that they're gonna attack you or harm you, a piece of paper isn't necessarily going to stop them. But from the point of view of Christina, who, from what I understand, will have this on her record for the rest of her life, even though it was dropped and it was only ever in existence based on the story of one side of the story. It's not just a piece of paper to Christina. It has caused an enormous amount of grief in her life. So just wanted to acknowledge that.
Against these people. Now, when we were all kids, we can all remember this and relate to it. When we were all kids in school, before the internet, okay, you had a bully at school. Well, there was a break from that bully after school was over and you went home typically, okay? And you had your core group of friends in your neighborhood and that's where you hung out. And typically the bully wasn't in your neighborhood and was someplace else. So
what is he even talking about? Typically the bully wasn't in your neighborhood and you had your core group of friends? What is he even talking about? Excuse me, people who get bullied in school are very often kind of loners or friendless or outcasts or whatever. So whatever tale he's spinning here as though it's truth, I think it's pretty clear we need to take everything these two are spouting out here with a grain of salt.
You had that break. It wasn't 24/7, 365. Now,
I mean, true, you did go home to your own house where, I mean, who knows what was going on? Maybe you were being bullied at home. So again, he's selling a story here that is going to try to make it seem like what's happening to Lauren is so bad because it's 24/7 and she can't escape the bullying and harassment.
As it is today with the advent of social media and the internet, okay? People that are doing this, you are playing a very dangerous game. And a lot of what you're doing is criminal. And you have to be made aware of that.
Do you think that Lauren's aware of that? That what she's doing is criminal? That weaponizing the police and the law against people because she doesn't like what they're saying about her online is illegal?
Your actions comes with consequences, okay?
Well, that's true. She has faced some consequences.
Okay, I've locked up numerous people for violating orders of protection in my career. Okay, and what I'm seeing here is very disturbing.
Yeah, it's troubling in many different ways, Ed. And
what they're seeing here is one side of a story being reported to them by a friend. And although loyalty is certainly a good quality, I also think that these guys have a responsibility to their viewers. Over 500,000 subscribers, and they are out here reporting this as though it's truth without ever having looked into it, clearly.
We look at many public figures. We have politicians who have been killed in recent history. We had political figures like Charlie Kirk as well, shot and killed all over rhetoric and violent conversations of hate.
So what's show me evidence of the violent conversations of hate and the kind of rhetoric that got Charlie Kirk killed. And I would venture that a lot of the rhetoric was coming from Charlie Kirk himself. Just to say.
And it doesn't matter if it's moderate or, strong hate. Anytime you're spewing negative things about people on social media, there's always people who will follow that lead. Listen, this is this is not something that's directly affecting us.
So again, I don't really think like what he's describing is not what was happening. So Christina was revealing some of the things that Lauren had done throughout the course of their friendship. That does not equal spewing hate. And it's extremely irresponsible, again, of these guys to suggest that it is.
But I can tell you that in my inbox on dutyron.com, at any given time, we get hate. We get people who say, hey, I don't agree with what you're saying. I don't like what you're saying. I don't like what you did.
I don't agree with what you're saying. I don't like what you did is not spewing hate. Maybe it's going to get worse. I'll give him a chance.
We, at my place of business where I work, we fire people on a regular basis. People get hired and people get fired. And in this case, with our good friend Lauren, it seems like it was a business associate that was also mixed in with.
It seems like it was a business associate. It seems like it. And yet he hasn't, like, clearly from what he's saying, it seems like he has a responsibility to find out what it really was instead of just parroting Lauren's story.
With some type of friendship. And we're going to let Lauren Matthias from Hidden True Crime tell that story. She did it in a long 9-hour marathon. It was emotional.
The ethical thing to do would be to let Lauren tell her story, and then on your next live, have Christina on and let her tell her story. But these guys are not going to do that, are they?
You listen to different aspects of it, and some people, and everyone perceives things differently. There's some people in the chat and some people online that said, I listened to 9 hours of Lauren and I got nothing out of it. Well, and then there's other people who say, I listened to Lauren for 9 hours and I got a lot out of it. So
what did people get out of it, do you suppose? I mean, we know what Lauren got out of it. But what did people watching it get out of it? I can't really say because I haven't been able to bring myself to watch it.
I wanted to host her because I told her, listen, we stand with you because I have personally taken orders of protections out of people's pockets after they were killed.
This is very Dr. John, this kind of fanning the flames of this situation without even, I mean, it's even worse. They don't even know what it is, and they're ex-cops. Don't cops have ethical, standards that they're supposed to follow?
Yeah, I've responded to a domestic where a young woman had an order of protection against a friend, not even a significant other. This was a friend.
This is just to stir up the audience and get everybody all freaked out and afraid so that when Lauren comes on with her fake tears and her BS lies, that people have in their mind this dead girl with an order of protection poking out of her back pocket. It's absurd.
Turned into an enemy.
I'm sorry, but this is I'm interrupting as often, if not more, than I was with Dr. John.
And that girl stabbed this girl numerous times, and I pulled that order of protection. I'll never forget that.
We've had high-profile cases.
I suppose that's true. He never will forget that, and that's like, yeah, I get that. That's horrible. But that's not what's happening here, and he has done zero investigating to find out if it is before spreading this kind of, fanning the flames of this kind of paranoia and lies to his audience. It's just, these people are just shocking to me.
Here with orders of protection laying right next to the victim. In New Jersey, there was one. She got an order of protection against her ex, and she tried to get a concealed carry permit from the state of New Jersey. They refused her, and he shot and killed her in her driveway.
I mean, please don't think that I am dismissing the victims in these situations that they're describing, because I'm absolutely not. But we are talking about Christina, not about people who have murdered their stalking victims. We're talking about Christina, who wasn't stalking her. So this is all really irresponsible. It's like, it's putting me in mind of John and his thought experiment, so far removed from the reality of what's happening that it's not even recognizable. We're only 7 minutes in. This is going to take me all day.
You know, but like I said, with this day and age, with the internet, though, this is just beyond one person. One person may start this, okay, and then all these haters come out of the woodwork, okay, and
so again, he's calling everybody haters. Everybody that's on Christina's side, he's calling them haters without evidence. And if these guys are gonna put up Christina's TikToks as evidence of hate, I'm just gonna have to laugh in their faces.
you never know what's going to trigger somebody to go beyond just words and do something fatal, a physical action, okay, and commit a heinous crime because they were inspired by what they were seeing published on the internet.
Correct. And you said it well, Ed. And back in the day, prior to the internet, you would go home and you'd get a reprieve from your loved ones, your family, your friends. In this day and age, it's there. You can't get away from it. Every time you open your phone up.
Again, these guys are describing an imaginary scenario that it was likely not the case for most kids being bullied in school. It's just bizarre.
There's notifications that come up and so forth. But listen, let's grab our good friend Lauren Mathias. Let's let her come in here and let's have.
She's our good friend, so we're not biased at all in this situation. She's our good friend.
Have a conversation about what she's experienced over the last several months. And I don't even know the exact timeline of how long this has been going on, but let's let her.
Once again, I haven't bothered to look into it. I'm just going to take everything that Lauren says as truth and spread it out to all of you.
Talk to our audience because we do share a lot of similar subscriber base. So a lot of our people follow her and vice versa. Lauren, thank you for coming here and thank you for taking the time out of your family life to come and talk to us about this.
Absolutely. Well, I first
taking the time out. She's delighted. She would like to go on a whole press tour calling Christina a stalker. Love of God.
off, just want to thank both of you for having me. Honestly, it was clearly very overwhelming to do. I never wanted to do it. I was clearly very emotional. I felt like my hand had been forced and I didn't really know how to then appear back on YouTube, which is my...
All the little Bambi head movements, all the little coy, is so manipulative.
Work and what I do. And so I just want to first off thank...
What I do. It's what I do. I'm a reporter. I'm just a mother with a YouTube channel. Which is it, Lauren? What do you do exactly?
Do the Duty Ron channel for being just a safe space for me to like come back.
Oh, Lauren needs a safe space. That's nice, guys. That's swell. A couple of ex-cops with no critical thinking skills are a safe space for Lauren.
Back on and break the silence after that marathon.
Oh, breaking the silence. She's breaking the silence. That's good. After that marathon. Was this in between? Was this before the John response? I don't actually know that.
So thank you to my friends, Ed and Ron. So I'm doing okay. I'm back home with my husband, John. We're okay. We feel...
It's all over now. We've just gone back to making videos like nothing happened. So guess it wasn't that bad after all, even though the stalking injunction was not finalized. Huh.
Good. I still feel very scared. I know that I feel like
Yeah, she's still scared. That's true. She's scared that her little stunt hasn't completely worked.
took my power back, but I also I'm still into like what's next. You know, I know that a lot of people are now.
God, the jargony. I took my power back. I'm going to own my story. I'm going to own Dr. John's education. She's just a pile of jargon held together by Botox and bleach.
Doing lives about my life, and so I'm just hunkered down and with my family. I'm very grateful to be with them, and grateful that you called and reached out. And for everyone,
I'm going to say she's very bored to be with them. And she's wondering how she's going to survive being a wife and a mother when she's used to being a YouTube star. But now she can't be a star anymore. And when she goes to these trials, people are not going to welcome her and everything is kind of crap. So whatever she's dealing with, I think that it's around that, the fact that she is having to accept the fact that she is not the beloved princess of true crime that she thought she was, and that means that she is not going to be able to do everything she can to avoid having to actually parent her child, when she would really rather be on the road with a camera on her.
I guess I want to say too, like, thank you to everyone that's reached out, creators, gems, everyone. We are getting the emails. Thank you. We did a little private Patreon will be, and I'll be back on YouTube after this, but thank you for allowing me to have a place to just come back and say hi. I'm okay.
It takes time, Lauren. This is, bless you, Ed, this is not a normal thing. Like, look, we as law enforcement professionals, we're used to dealing with this. I've responded to arguably thousands of domestic incident calls. Ed, same thing for him.
Hang on just a sec.
But what I mentioned and what we can bring to this conversation is that the escalation of this and how this can spiral out of control. I want to just validate your fears. I want to say.
So what they can apparently bring to the conversation is more of the same nonsense that John brought to the conversation, and more of the same encouraging of the histrionic presentation and reaction to I mean, I don't know. I don't even know how much of what she's... I don't know. Like, everything is so fake about her, it's hard to know where the fear ends and the manipulation begins, and I do believe that she's genuinely in fear, but not for the reasons that she's saying. It's just... And these guys are just adding to this histrionic response.
That, as a mother, you as a mother, me as a father, and your husband, obviously, Dr. John, as a dad, your first, instinct is to protect your family and protect the vulnerable, your son.
So he knows what Lauren's first instinct is. He's not asking her what her first instinct is. He's assuming what her first instinct is. My take on all of this is that Lauren's first instinct is to cover her ass and hide all of the nasty things she's been doing behind the scenes. And Duty Ron is over here giving her cover without knowing any of the background or even really investigating what's going on based on the words that he has used so far.
And I have questions. I have a lot of questions to ask you.
And you're allowed to ask them. Do you want, just to make it fair, if you ask a question that I don't want to answer, I'll say I don't want to answer it. So I'm a journalist. I can handle questions. Ask away. I'm sure a lot of people are curious.
I'm a journalist. I can handle questions. I'm just not going to answer the ones that make me look bad. Okay.
Go for it. And I have some questions for you too. As law enforcement, I'll have questions for you too. So I hope this can just be a conversation among friends. I think there are a couple things I want to clear up. I think one of the big fair criticisms I've gotten, or questions that I've gotten, maybe not even a criticism, but a question is, I cover criminal cases. I cover people's pain. It is true. I try to do it ethically, but crime is pain. And I cover...
She doesn't try to do it ethically. That's a lie. She tries to do it in such a way that she's going to get the majority of the clicks.
For trials and criminal trials, what is different with mine being live streamed? And I think I want to explain that the reason that civil stalking injunctions are not live streamed would be the same reason, or even reported on, would be the same reason that a child custody battle wouldn't be live streamed, or anything that has to do with...
So child custody battles not being live streamed has to do with protecting children. So it's not the same reason. She's conflating things that aren't the same. Surprise.
Really, someone trying to escape an abuser, which is coercive control. You've got intimidation, coercive control, things that you can speak to, fears of escalation, fears of people that don't like me finding out, and it escalating, getting bigger and bigger to where it potentially becomes a more concerning, frightening situation. So the actual idea of a civil stalking injunction being reported on, in my opinion, is just so unethical. I want to point out.
So again, she may have a point here. I certainly haven't looked into the ethics of, live streaming civil stalking injunction hearings. But since Christina's not a stalker, all of what she's saying doesn't apply here. And she's trying to make it like it does, but it really doesn't.
As a journalist, someone with a background, I would never cover...
As a journalist. She employs the word journalist as a cover, right? It's like it's like a cudgel even. It's like it covers a host of sins because you're just supposed to believe, like John's a psychologist, so we're just supposed to follow along with him. He's got the credentials. She's doing the same thing. I'm a journalist means that I'm ethical, except that, I mean, check out Olivia Nuzzi, friends, if you want to see some journalism that is not ethical. Some more journalism that's not ethical, shall we say.
For such a thing, and on our channel we would never cover such a thing, just like we wouldn't cover, a child custody battle. So I do want to explain.
But she would stick her microphone right in the face of someone who is grieving so much that they can hardly think. So I guess she has some ethics, but not others, maybe? I mean, maybe she's aware that, live streaming children is not ethical, but she doesn't seem to be aware that lying and weaponizing the police isn't ethical. So yeah, like this is more of like that attempt to kind of baffle you with the BS by she's trotting out these things that she does that she believes in as cover for what she's done here. And it's a manipulation, like so much of what these people have been doing.
That difference. And yes, though, I also want to humbly say, has it made me rethink even bigger how I'm going to cover crime in the future? Yes, we do try to be victim-centered. We do try to be aware. We do try to be careful. And I will continue to do that at Hidden True Crime, and maybe even become better at it and more empathic. But I did want to...
Maybe even better and more empathic. She reminds me again of that Mika Stauffer, that woman, that influencer, that the mommy blogger that adopted a special needs child and then gave him away 2 years later when she found out she couldn't manage. One of the things that she said that was so creepy on her blog was when she was looking for the child that she wanted, looking for a child to adopt. They go through the books of all the pictures of all the kids, and she was like, oh, I just wanted to adopt them all. I was so empathic for all of them. And it was the fakest, weirdest snake eyes lizard moment of revelation about her, and she was oblivious to it. And that's what that reminded me of just there. I am going to be even more empathic than I already am. I was so empathic to those victims.
Explain that difference a little bit, because that was a big question out there. What's the difference between a criminal trial and what this was? And I, to this day, I'll never understand why they put in a media request and why they never reached out to me to understand more. But whatever.
I suspect that they put in a media request because Anjanette Levy was there when Lauren was bullying Christina out of CrimeCon. That's my guess. Also, Lauren pretends that she's the princess of true crime, and so they have a legitimate interest in what's going on with her.
And one of my questions was going to be, you beat me to the punch. It's one of on my list, and I have a whole list here. I have a whole notepad.
Oh my goodness, he has a whole list of questions to support Lauren. He was so busy making that list, he couldn't do any research, but still, he's got a list.
Do you know why Laura and crime trials got wind, or how they got wind of this civil case? Because like you said, there are high-profile civil cases that we heard of them covering. Johnny Depp.
Do you think Lauren's going to tell the truth that Anjanette Levy was sitting there when she got Christina kicked out of CrimeCon?
Some of these other ones you mentioned it in your video that you did, the 9-hour video. Other creators that have a lot of drama surrounding them and their cases where it's a civil case is out there in the news and people are talking about it. The news goes and tries to cover it, gives local coverage to it. But it just seemed like, for me as a detective, I detected something stunk about this, that it was...
As a detective, he detected that something stunk. Something did stink, Duty Ron, but not what you think it is.
It's just weird that Lauren Crime all of a sudden was focused in on Lauren Matthias and her civil case that she was in the process of moving forward. And Ed, you agreed with me when we were in the green room talking about this. It just didn't seem right. Can you speak on...
It just didn't seem right, but instead of investigating what was going on, we're going to get the answer from Lauren.
To that, or would you rather not?
No, I'll be willing. I don't know. So full disclosure, I don't know. To this day, Long Crime has never reached out to me, ever, not even since.
I mean, after witnessing that performance, why would they? God. Reach out for what? A load of lies and manipulation?
Do know that one creator named Lori Hellis did a live at the same time I was doing a live. Unbeknownst to me, I didn't know that was happening. And that she stated that she was sitting with my stalker and Anjanette Levy at CrimeCon.
Still calling her the stalker. Still defaming Christina.
When police were trying to escort my stalker out. By the way, I want to clarify that that night was the night after the photos were taken, because there's some people saying that they were there. There were 2 nights. So the first night she was there.
There were 2 nights that Lauren was an absolute nightmare to Christina. Just in case you thought there was only 1 night, it was actually 2 nights that she had her kicked out of places.
The photos were taken. We were sitting. We'd been there all night, and she was just there with a camera, hanging around us in socks. The second night, I'll clarify this too, because people are telling stories. The second night, Aurora PD was very well aware. They actually referred to her as an agitator. They saw the evidence and what was happening.
They referred to her as an agitator, and they saw the evidence. So she doesn't say what evidence. The only evidence that had been presented at that time was Lauren's evidence. That was it. There was only the one side had been told. The hearing where Christina got to show her evidence never happened because Lauren canceled it when she realized she wasn't going to win.
Referred to her as an agitator. They saw that she was in the bar the second night, and I hadn't been there. I'd been at the Clue Awards celebrating the Delphi victims receiving an award.
Celebrating the Delphi victims. That sounds really creepy to me.
So she could technically be allowed in the bar as long as she was 500 feet from me. So the Aurora PD actually escorted us and said to me and my producer, go around the bar,
The Aurora PD escorted her after she got her pal Bobby Joe to put in a good word for her about how much she loves law enforcement.
Look and see if you can see her before you enter so that we can then ask her to leave. So we were requested by police to do that because there are rumors about how...
She's literally walking around with the police in tow. Like, what a nightmare human this is right here on the screen.
We were told to do that. So we looked, we saw she was there, and so we told the police officer on duty, and they asked her to leave. And I do know, according to Lori Hellis, she's with I can't think of her channeling, but she stated while I was going live that she was with Anjanette Levy and my stalker when approached. So whether that's true or not, I don't know. I'm just relaying what one creator stated. But I don't know. I don't want to put any blame on anyone because, like I said, I don't know. I was just absolutely shocked. And I'll tell you this too, as someone that covers trials, this was very interesting. But we had heard, my team of attorneys, and I had heard like 3-4 days earlier that there had been a media request. And when there is a media request, you know this, you find out who's requesting to be pooled or what they're requesting. You're like, oh, Court TV is asking to be pooled. We'll see, if it gets approved or not. It's in there. It's on the docket. You can see it. And we could see there was a media request, which was shocking. We couldn't see who. So I thought, oh, maybe it's a small YouTuber, like trying to get in, their hearing. And so our attorneys called the court and said, hey, can you tell it?
Yeah, they only wanted the round of attention on YouTube that was going to get Christina vilified and all the rest of it. They don't want real attention from real, journalists who are going to do their real due diligence. So that's basically, to my mind, that's why she was upset about Law and Crime being involved. Because she seems pretty happy to do her 9-hour live on YouTube and get everybody on YouTube riled up against Christina. But if Law and Crime got involved, they would look at the actual facts. And that's not what she wants here.
Who the media request is from, they said we can't actually, because it went from somebody straight to the judge's desk. And so we can't see who it's for. I'm like, huh. And so we wrote, which I read on my 9-hour live, a very lengthy reason as to why there should never be media in a civil stalking injunction, and my specific civil stalking injunction, why I'm in danger. And like I said, this is someone trying to escape a court.
She didn't want the media in her civil stalking injunction hearing because she's not in danger, and it would be made very clear that that's the case. So, again, she is exploiting actual victims of stalking to protect her own self here for her own personal benefit. So this is another, this may not be really obvious, but that's exactly what she's doing. And these are victims just like JJ, Charles, Tylee, Tammy, the Abby and Libby, etc. So that's what she's doing right now. So let's not let her obfuscate her way through that's what she's doing.
Coercive control issue. And then I was actually at my attorney's office when it was approved, and they were like, it was a law and crime. And so I will never know why they did that. Yeah, they're not checking the...
Because they want to know the actual story. They don't want to just listen to one side of the story. So if they go to court, they're going to be able to see the evidence from both sides and make an educated, decision about what's going on. Unlike Duty Ron and his pal Ed here, who are just taking the evidence from one side and making their decision based on their good friend, Lauren.
Utah Civil. And I will never know why they didn't reach out to me and how this happened.
Yeah, interesting. I want to switch gears just a minute because...
I would say they didn't reach out to you because they don't believe you and they don't think that there's any value in listening to you. Right? If you had been willing to take it to court, they would have heard from you. That was your opportunity to be heard by Law and Crime, but you shut it down before they could find out the truth. Look at that face. Look at her, eh? Literally looking down on everyone.
I got a little ahead of myself here about asking about Law and Crime. But another question that I had for you, and I think a lot of people want...
Oh, the thoughtful Ron. He had a really thoughtful question for his good friend Lauren. Let's hear what it is.
I know, and I do believe that you gave quite a detailed explanation of this. Do you know, Lauren, why this is happening to you? Why and how this started? Can you give an overview to folks who might not be clear on this, is exactly how and why when these wheels started turning and the turn of events that led?
So she does know. She knows exactly. But what she's going to say now is going to be a bunch of lies. So, yeah.
To where we are today.
Yeah. Yeah, and then if you want to jump in and tell me why you really think it's happening, let me know. I'm hidden true crime. We're proud to say that we have the hidden motives, but at this point, you being law enforcement, maybe you can help me understand, but I can...
Yeah, we all know about the hidden motives that Dr. John showed up to try to sell us. My God. Ugh. I find these people so objectionable.
Say in general, the TLDR, for those that they can't handle watching a 9-hour live stream, is I have a business that was growing, and I had contract workers, and one of them quit unhappy, and then I had another. So
she is recasting this situation. According to Christina, they were friends. So the fact that she did some contract work for them doesn't change the situation. So she's trying to change the dynamic to make herself look like she was the big successful person who was hiring the little contractor who was aspiring to be as successful as her. So she's setting you up in that dynamic right away, rather than acknowledging the reality that they met on neutral ground where they both had shared interests and they became friends. And through their friendship, Christina ended up doing some freelance work for them. So she's, to start with, like right away, she's framing it to make it look different than it actually was. So, surprise! Contract worker who I then terminated. And then I had them, then I had the friends, and then there were friends, two contract workers, I guess I should say. The stalker was also a contract worker. Although oddly, she says on her TikTok accounts targeting me that she was just an ex-friend and never a TikTok worker, but I had plenty of invoices, so she was. And so you've got two ex-contract workers contacting another ex-contract worker, and then you've got this stalker that's actually reaching out to every person I confided might have a beef with me from my past, and they're getting a larger and larger group together. So I find that interesting, right? That they're reaching out to every person from my past that might have a beef with me. Because I have got probably about 15 years on Lauren. And I don't have a past chock full of people who have beefs with me. And she talks about that as though that's ordinary, regular. Everybody has a cast of thousands who have beef with them.
I think their ultimate thing of power is that in private conversations, I said mean things about people. And
so, I mean, I think that tells you something about her. In private conversations, I said mean things about people. So she's going to try to frame that. I haven't seen it, but I'm guessing she's going to try to frame it as like, those were private conversations, and the wrong that you did in sharing my private conversations is worse than what I did in those private conversations. So it's akin to, somebody in a relationship suspecting that their partner is cheating, going through their phone to find the proof of it, and then the cheating partner being caught out saying, "How dare you go through my phone?" So that's how I'm understanding this right here.
That they have the receipts and that they know. And then what this group did is then start reaching out to other people to join the fold. I call it a whisper campaign, where it's all behind the scenes. And I can tell you, like, this is actually, I get a lot of text.
I feel like it wasn't really behind the scenes because Christina was posting about it online. So that doesn't seem like it was behind the scenes. And again, she's describing this as though people are in the wrong for doing this, and that there's something nefarious about reaching out to other people to find out about the experience that they had with someone who has treated you badly.
All the time. My phone was silent. Like, I don't know how far this went, and then...
Again, that cracks me up. Being, like... The John getting all up in his business about there was over 50 videos, or there was even 100 videos over 6 months, and how crazy that is. It's like, people who have real stalkers are dealing with 50 to 100 or more private messages per day. So again, like, she's trying to frame this in such a way that it seems like it's this really volatile situation that's going on, when in fact it's literally a group of people, comparing notes about their experience with this person who that they feel they were harmed by. And she's trying to hype it as though it's some seriously, like, escalating behavior, and these guys are helping her do that.
We're getting whispers and threats, and a few things are coming out, and some
whispers and threats. Which threats? I have never seen any evidence of any threats. Like, none at all. So again, are these guys, I'm curious to see if they're going to ask for what are the threats, what threats have you received.
One's finally calling me saying, "Hey, I got a call from this person," and I'm like, "That person?" And they're telling me, people I've interviewed, people I love, to never trust you again, that you're evil, like that you are
Who are these people? She hasn't got any receipts. She's just saying this, and we're all supposed to believe her, right?
really bad. And things like that. It just continues, just like, and but it all leads back to what I just told you, ex-contract workers. That all roads lead back to the ex-contract workers and their friends, and then it just goes bigger and bigger. No one reaching out to me, by the way. Not.
Do you wonder why people don't want to talk to you when you literally look at her? She looks like a total psycho. When you literally turn what was a friendship of mutual interests and whatever into contract workers that I fired. Like, how do you... That's what these type of people do, right? They make friendships with people. They idealize someone. Then when they discover that person isn't perfect for whatever reason, because they're not, nobody is, they devalue them and then they discard them. That's literally it. And they will do it in cycles. Like, you can end up in a relationship with somebody like this over 20 years, and they will just continue the cycle of idealize, devalue, discard, idealize, devalue, discard. They'll hoover you back in, and they'll idealize you again, and they'll do it all over again and again and again. That's what these kind of people do. So, to me, that sounds like exactly what happened, right? She developed relationships with these people. They turned out to be human, and she began to devalue them in private conversations behind their backs. a little bit of backstabbing, a little bit of, you know, how they do this. This is mean girl stuff. This is the mean girl stuff that Dr. John is talking about, as though it's like, oh, it's just mean girl stuff. But mean girl stuff is exactly this. This is mean girl stuff, is narcissistic abuse. That's what it is. And that's what she excels at.
Leaving on crime, and getting bigger and bigger to the point where there's this giant snowball. I don't know right from left. And then it gets to the point where I'm trying to reach out to people to understand, oh, a Proton email goes out. And this is where it gets strange too, because I'm thinking, oh no, some of my
a Proton email goes out. Like, I just want to say, I think her whole disingenuous nonsense about the Proton email is particularly egregious because she's a journalist. Journalists use Proton mail all the time so that they can assure their people that they're talking to that their communications are private. So this whole, like, oh, they use Proton email, and, like, it's so scary because it means we can't trace them. Like, spare me. Spare me. And these guys are probably they're just gonna feed into all this nonsense.
The texts have gotten out. I'm ashamed. I'm not perfect. It's embarrassing. But then there's a Proton email that goes out, meaning Proton is a
I'm ashamed. I'm not perfect. It's embarrassing. Let's just move along. She's not going to own up to any of it. She's not going to say what she said about who that would explain why people are this angry at her. She's going to make it seem like she made some little off-the-cuff remark about someone who she was obviously pretending to be friends with, but that it didn't mean anything, and that the person was, oh, you're being so sensitive. I was just joking. God, can't you take a joke? That's what this is.
Thing where it's anonymous, and it goes out while I'm covering the Brandon Boudreaux trial, Lori Vallow representing herself, and it says that I've talked shit about all these people that actually aren't people I've talked shit about. So now I'm like, okay, now it's a smear.
Right, but she's not going to tell us who she did talk shit about, right? Like, what does that even mean? So let's hear about the people you did talk shit about, Lauren.
Campaign. This isn't actually even what I've actually said. Now, okay, I haven't talked shit about these people. One of them's like my best friend. So I'm like, what's going on? So that's happening. I'm trying.
Her best friend. This woman doesn't have a single friend in the world.
Trying to reach out to people right and left to figure out what's going on. And then no one will pick up my phone calls or talk to me. So my producer reaches out to a creator who's.
Has anybody ever come forward to say that they were the creator that talked to Grayson? Because as far as I have heard, this could just be a straight up lie, right? They could have just made it up.
Said they want my head on a platter and that I better brace myself because it's going to go viral and it's bad. And she continued to say brace ourselves over and over again. It was so scary. Again, with my phone being silent, no one talking to me.
The first stalking victim ever in the world whose phone is silent and no one is talking to them.
The threats that I've spoken about people I haven't, that I called the police because they're like, they want my head on a...
Again, none of that is illegal. And to say that you want someone's head on a platter is metaphor. It's hyperbole. It's a... it's something people say that references a period in history where that might have been a thing that happened, but nobody that I know or that I would consider having serious conversations with thinks that saying they want your head on a platter means someone is coming to your house to chop your head off.
Platter. And people turning on me that I thought were my friends too. Like, so, and now there's
people turning on her who she thought were her friends. That's so sad, isn't it, Lauren? Were they talking shit about you in private emails? How alarming and upsetting.
Saying that I'm abusing the police. Like, there's nothing I can do that's right. I'm like spinning.
Calling the police on people who don't agree with you, who are saying mean things about you, is like, how did you think that was gonna, everybody was gonna be like, oh, well, she's called the police and that's reasonable. So, like, how did she think that she was gonna win by calling the police? other than by silencing these people. This woman literally tried to put an innocent woman in jail. And she's out here pretending that she's the victim and that she's on the side of victims. Well, she is literally victimizing Christina and trying to get her put in jail when she's done nothing wrong.
My wheels, right? Like, I call the police, now I'm abusing the police. I take it lying down, they just keep punching. I gray rock it, meaning you stay silent, you don't respond, it doesn't stop. And then after that, brace yourself.
It doesn't stop, except that her phone is silent and nobody's talking to her. People are continuing to post things online, at which point she has the opportunity to address those actual things, right? She could have, instead of this 9-hour live where she is addressing the whole stalker situation, she could have done a 9-hour live and laid out the truth about everything that she did and given everybody a great huge apology. So this whole I can't win, it's like, I tried lying and hiding and weaponizing the police. What else could I do?
Multiple accounts happen. I actually only said on my live that there was a TikTok and Instagram. I had no idea she had a YouTube too. But, so multiple accounts.
Oh, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. Like, sorry, I don't know. I can't imagine how that she thinks that any of this is believable, and yet I'm seeing the comments popping up from people who are like, we're 100% on your side, Princess Lauren. And it's wild to me that none of them has the critical thinking skills to say, let's hear from Christina.
Twitter, whatever it's called, X recently started.
Or to say, well, what did you say about those friends? Not a single comment is going to come up here saying, well, what did you say about those people? What did you say? What did you do? Why do you have so many people in your past that have beef with you? And if those questions did come up in the chat, they would not be posted up here for her to have to answer, would they? Because no, we're on the support Lauren team without using our critical thinking skills. So that would not fall into the category of this. Actually asking her the questions that need to be asked. None of those questions are on Dr. or Duty Ron's list either. Duty Ron and Dr. John, they need to get together and do a live so that we can all laugh at them together.
And just every other day, threatening cyberbullying on all of these accounts, saying they have...
Threatening what? She has never said, what are they threatening? Other than releasing your emails.
Something on me. And then it also makes me wonder, what did I do? Maybe I am bad. I have things I'm ashamed of that I said.
Yeah, maybe you are bad. So she thinks that this little right here is everybody's gonna go, see, she's self-reflected.
Behind the scenes I do. So
it's a performance.
So then you start questioning yourself, and I'm like, I am a bad person. Like, what did I do? What do they have? And that's kind of, my husband's taught me, like, coercive.
See, so that would be ideal if she would actually question herself. But instead of doing that, allowing her to do that, Dr. John is going to come running in with a textbook to show her how what's happening to her is actually coercive control, and she did nothing wrong.
Control and intimidation. Like, we have the receipts. A lot of people have been saying for about 5 months they've got the receipts. But just repeat it, and it's been going on for months, and I actually ignored it for months and months and months. It got bigger and bigger. Like I said, I have been canceled on news organizations, so not knowing how or why. And then I'm finding out, I think
she does know why. She's just not willing to admit why. What she doesn't know is how much people know. That's all.
The scariest part for me was also finding out that this, the person on all the accounts saying bad things about me, cyberbullying me, is then calling people.
Okay, saying bad things about you isn't cyberbullying you, Lauren. It's criticism. It's valid criticism.
That she knows that I have beefs with and riling them up, like from years ago. And she's reaching out to people where I'm realizing that just that alone is a violent act. Like when you have...
That's not a violent act, Lauren. Getting a civil stalking injunction against someone who has done nothing wrong and then calling in your police pals to follow them around and intimidate them is violence.
A problem with somebody from the past, and when they're calling them and they're instigating their anger and their then it got very scary, and so I was very fearful to go anywhere. And I was going to go actually to the Adelson trial, and because of this, that's why I didn't go. I reported from home, and then
So it's working. Good. She should stay home. She's not welcome there. And there are good reasons for that. So good. Stay home. Self-reflect. Change your life.
It kept getting, so then I learned, like, there's more people coming from my past. And I'm like, what are they doing? And then the TikToks are saying, we're trying.
Like, how many people do you have in your past that have terrible things to say about you? I literally am like, is it, like, it's bizarre that she doesn't realize how she comes off here. And it's bizarre that so many people can't see what she's saying.
Trying to find her LinkedIn. Isn't it strange? She doesn't have a LinkedIn. I can't figure out who's linked with her. Like, in other words, I can't call.
Again, so I wanted to address this again because she talked about, Dr. John talked about this as like one of the list of the all of his many descriptions and definitions of stalking and cyber stalking. One of the things he talked about was surveillance. And I was saying, to me, it sounds like people are doing just investigative research. And literally, like, as a journalist, she should know that one of the functions of the media is surveillance, to surveil the state and report on it, right? So people investigating her, looking into her LinkedIn, looking into John's education, looking into her past employment, those are people investigating her past to find out the truth about her. And that's not illegal. That's in fact part of her job, the part of her job that involves surveillance. So she should know that. So either she doesn't know it, and she should, or she does know it, but she's banking on the idea that you don't.
Yeah, and then they're saying, okay, I've called UNLV now. That's where my husband is an adjunct professor. And they're saying that they're exposing my husband, who has nothing to do with this.
Except that he just went online for 4 hours and defamed Christina and blew up his professional reputation.
And people have been wondering why he hasn't been on YouTube, and we've only been doing Patreon episodes, angry that, we're putting my co-host behind a paywall. Well, yeah, because we feel safer behind a paywall. That's...
Well, good. Go behind the paywall then. Bugger off. Leave the rest of us alone. Bye-bye.
He had a board complaint recently he had to defend, which he defended, and it was...
Good. There should be many board complaints. He should have to defend them all without any textbooks.
Ridiculous. Like, it's just like, I didn't mention that on my live either.
No.
There are more Patreon emails. There's more stuff going on.
She didn't mention it on her live, but she's mentioning it now because she's hoping that it's going to garner some more sympathy for her, because poor Dr. John facing these false accusations that are not false at all.
I mean, I know that I covered it for 9 hours, but I didn't cover everything going on. And then you can't explain it. Like, I'm not this...
I mean, there wasn't time. There was all the crying to do. There was all the wiping of the nose on the sheets. I mean, she didn't have time, folks. 9 hours wasn't enough.
Person. So, I don't know. I don't see. I'm already... It's so hard to explain, which is why I did a 9-hour live. I'm like, no one can believe this.
Okay. It's so hard to explain? What? Like, first of all, if you had a stalker, it's not hard to explain a stalking situation. So I feel like she's giving herself away a bit here with this, it's so hard to explain. Because to me, what it suggests is that it's so hard to cover this all up and twist it in such a way that it comes out looking like I'm the innocent one. So she's doing that thing where, we all have things that we're ashamed of. We all have things that we're embarrassed of. The way that, that Don Wells guy, the father of Summer Wells who went missing, and he confessed to essaying his young stepsister when he was 12 years old. And then when the person that he is interviewing him, sort of says, like, that's a big deal, he's like, have you never done anything wrong? Like, Well, yeah, like, of course I've done things wrong, but I've never essayed a 5-year-old, and that's what she's doing here, right? She's trying to make it seem like, well, we all have things that we're ashamed of. Like, sure, we all do. That's absolutely true. I definitely do. But I don't have anything of this magnitude that I'm ashamed of. And she's trying to make you, she's trying to equate, again, she's conflating things that aren't the same to try to get your sympathy, to try to get you on side, to try to get you to, you know, identify with her.
My fear, unless I just, if I was going to say it, I had to say it, you know. So I spent
Can I jump in here and say something?
Yeah.
Okay, for people saying that, oh, this isn't restraining order stuff, that this is just mean girl behavior. Well, I'm sorry, this is beyond mean girl behavior. They have crossed the line into the criminality. Okay.
It's really shocking to me again that these guys, that cops and psychologists both talk about mean girl behavior as if it's some irrelevant, thing that girls do that doesn't have any actual social import or whatever. Mean girl behavior is toxic behavior, and it falls under the category of narcissistic abuse, most of it. So again, this characterization of it is irresponsible, coming from people who have the authority of law enforcement behind them. It's shocking.
Constant threats, emails, text.
Okay, so she hasn't received constant threats, emails, or texts. So let's see if she puts him straight, because I very much doubt she will.
Videos, and so forth. The crime there would be aggravated harassment.
Yes.
Okay, contacting other people.
Yeah, but nobody has been contacting her. So again, you haven't done your research, and so now what you're saying is completely irrelevant, and yet most of the people listening to this don't have the critical thinking skills to recognize what's going on here.
And from the past that may have had a beef with Lauren and so forth. Now we start getting into aggravated harassment and conspiracy. Okay, then making any type of threat.
Again, this is just complete nonsense based on facts, not in evidence.
Over the internet, besides, is a federal crime, and we're talking about making terroristic threats. Okay, I mean, if this was
okay, so that is completely irresponsible of him to even be talking like this. Like, who are these guys? All this this need to kind of represent yourself as your whole identity as is retired NYPD means that everything that you say has the weight of the NYPD behind it. And he is now basically saying that Christina is a terrorist based on evidence that he has not even looked at.
a beef between an employer and a contractor, well, we have legal ways to deal with this in civil court, okay, or criminal court, depending on if there are being crimes are being alleged about an employer contract with a contractor. Okay, now if this was some other kind of beef, okay, well, you've taken that beef to an unreasonable level, okay, and you have.
Again, he's saying all this without having looked at any of the evidence and just taking Lauren's word for it. So that's irresponsible, and it's also disqualifying in terms of what he's saying having any relevance whatsoever.
To step back and take a look at what's going on here, okay? This is not
good advice, Ed. Maybe you should do that. Detective first grade. Are you serious?
not normal, folks. This is not normal. And
no, it absolutely is not normal for two cops to be on YouTube defending somebody, accusing somebody else, and having no information except what they've been told by one person who is they consider a personal friend. Like, none of these people have any respect for ethical boundaries at all.
It's unreasonable. And a judge already issued a restraining order.
A judge issued a temporary restraining order based on the evidence of one party only, because the judge has no choice but to issue that. So he's saying this as though the judge agreed that it was stalking, and the judge did not agree to that at all before signing the temporary restraining order. nor did he agree with it when they actually were in the hearing, and the judge said, it seems like what you're trying to do here is shut down someone's First Amendment right to stop them saying things about you that you don't like. So this is all nonsense, and it's as bad as Dr. John in terms of being unethical.
Okay, evidence was presented, and the judge saw it. Now, let me step back even further.
But the evidence was all basically lies, and the judge has no opportunity to investigate that evidence until the actual hearing happens. And there was no chance to do that because Lauren canceled it when it turned out that people were going to find out the truth.
Having seen the video of the Aurora Police Department encounter at the crime con, okay, she's lucky she walked away. If I was given that order of protection from a complainant and I read it, and there's the person within 500 feet doing exactly what the order tells her she can't do, and after talking to her, I find out she knew about it and she was served and she has a photograph of it sent to her, okay, the bracelets come out and she's in cuffs and she's leaving CrimeCon with me.
Violating an order of protection is a crime.
That's right.
She did it.
So these guys are going to go on about this for a while, probably. This was the evidence that John was trying to sell us to. Yeah, like I think it's true that if you violate the order, you are, it's supposed to be an automatic arrest. But I also think that, I think it was very clear that Christina was doing her best to stay out of Lauren's way. And that Lauren was kind of lording it about the place in an effort to get Christina arrested. And this little sad face she's gone on right now is the face of someone who has been thwarted in their evil plot.
Several times, but see, people in the chat, Ed, are saying, well, I didn't see or hear any threats. Threats don't have to be direct. And when you tell somebody, which they told Lauren...
So where were the indirect threats? Are you going to give us any examples of the indirect threats? Let's see.
That creators, I think they said plural, many people or many creators want your head on a platter. That's a threat. It's an idle threat. And, people...
No, it's not, right? It's actually not. What they're saying is that they want accountability from her. And he is conflating that with them saying, we're going to physically attack you and cut your head off. And that's not the case at all. And anybody with any critical thinking skills should be able to see that. These guys are so wrapped up in being, I think that they're getting like whatever they get out of it. Like, oh, I'm the cop with all the, I've got the goods here, right? So they're getting clicks for this. They're getting kudos for this. They're getting like, oh, you cops, so great to hear from real cops about the situation so we can understand what's really going on here. All of this is a manipulation by Lauren, and these two doofuses who are leaning into it are embarrassing. Honestly, it's a joke, and I hope that they are have had a chance to look back on what they've done here and feel shame.
People don't understand that you can't just go around saying, we're going to ruin you, we're going to do this. And
nobody said we're going to ruin you. Nobody said we're going to ruin you. The only thing I saw was the implication that, like, once the truth comes out, you're gonna be affected by that. And I don't think it's not the same thing as threatening to ruin someone. They're conflating two different things here, like that people are gonna go tell a whole bunch of lies about Lauren to deliberately ruin her career, when in fact all they're gonna do is reveal the truth about Lauren, and that truth will be the ruin of her career. Those are two very different things.
Amount of not only psychological torture we saw and heard Lauren talk and get so vulnerable.
Torturous interference. So yeah, I'm sure she does. It does feel quite torturous to know that the truth about you is going to come out. So yeah, fair though, right? Like, I mean, Lori Vallow, she's a bad example, but any criminal who's on the verge of being caught and found out and revealed and arrested and sent to prison for the rest of their life, it's a torturous experience to go through that. I'm sure it is. It doesn't mean it's not well deserved though. So again, nonsense from these guys.
On that live stream, that 9-hour live stream, she talked about harming herself. I mean, this is not something that she had.
Again, like they're just taking it all at face value without and getting all up in their emotions about it and not having any critical thinking skills whatsoever. And it's, to me, these are the type of cops that fall for the white lady, I feel threatened stuff that Lauren is so fond of pulling. And it just shows them up to be bumbling dumbasses who we should all be glad are retired and not out there imposing their ridiculous views on things that are right in front of their face.
To share with everybody, but she wanted to share it to show you with full transparency the enormity of what these events.
She wanted to share it to get you on side with her. She didn't want to admit that the reason she was having those feelings is because she was about to be revealed as the monstrous lying manipulator that she is, right? So they're trying to conflate, again, being caught out at what you've been doing with being coercively controlled, resulting in the kind of self-loathing that then results in the kind of feelings that Lauren was expressing during her 9-hour live about wanting to, self-harm.
Are doing to not only her, but her entire family. Her husband's blood pressure raising up, her son asking questions. This is not rape.
I mean, I feel like Dr. John's probably got a blood pressure problem already. And the fact that he is stirring this stuff up and making it worse instead of doing anything to calm the situation is evidence to me that he is he's in on the clicks that they're getting for this. He's in on the whole drama.
Regular, normal, good human behavior. This is beyond it.
Now, Lauren, the incident at the bar restaurant with her videotaping your party, okay? She was well within 500 feet, okay? This occurred after the police confrontation at CrimeCon.
That night.
That night. So she knew. She was given a break by the police. She knew about the restraining order, the order of protection. And then that night she goes out and violates it again. Now, any reasonable person looking at this should understand this is not reasonable behavior. This is not normal behavior.
I think that Christina was remarkably controlled considering what Lauren did to her and considering how much it cost her. And considering that it must have been clear to Christina at the time that all of it was an attempt to get her arrested and to smear her within the entire community so that nobody would listen to her anymore. So again, I have no respect for what either of these guys are saying because they haven't bothered to look at the actual evidence instead of just going with whatever Lauren wants to show them.
Something is wrong here, okay? And she could have been arrested in the bar.
Yeah.
So these guys are in agreement with Lauren that she's a victim of Christina and also a victim of law enforcement. Even though she's a big supporter of law enforcement, she's actually a victim of them because they didn't arrest Christina when she asked them to.
I also want to point out that she also posted that day, this is how subtle it is, how vague. No one else would notice, but she knows that I'm watching, right? Because I've filed something, so how vague it is.
Yeah, but why are you watching, Lauren? Like, get a life, right? Like, people are talking about you online, so what? Like, if you're innocent of all that and it's just a bunch of mean girls being mean, like, rise above it and carry on. This is ridiculous. See this? Chipping away at a family. The worst. You don't think Christina has a family? Any of you thought of that? Christina's also a mother with a YouTube channel. Spare me, honeybee.
She posts on the TikTok targeting on me, or all the accounts, her smiling and the lyrics to Worms, which is an Eminem song. Go look up the first verse. So I don't want to misphrase it. Google it and read the first lines of Worms. So after she was served by Aurora police, shared her smiling, doing a verse of this song, then showed up in the bar.
So again, like, this is a lot of insinuating right here. I don't want to put out the words here, but you go look it up, but you'll see. But of course, people aren't going to go look it up right now because they're busy watching Lauren. But then when they do go look it up, they're going to go, "Oh my God, it's so terrible," and it's just right up there. They said they were going to burn her kingdom down, and again, it's all metaphor, and she's taking it literally on purpose so that she can stir you up into thinking that she's afraid for her life when she's only afraid of being revealed.
And do you see the words? Something about the plaintiff. I think.
I'm gonna play it if you don't mind. Is it okay if I play that TikTok?
Yeah. Okay.
All right. If you don't want me to, I won't.
No, go ahead.
I mean, look, this is her entire TikTok. I went and showed Ed before we went live. It's like
He went and showed Ed before they went live. This is serious, people. I mean, they can't even believe their eyes.
almost every one of her created TikToks on that account, or indirectly, or if she doesn't mention you by name, and that's where people are getting caught up. Ed,
People are getting caught up. These guys are as bad as John at just skating over stuff. Like, she never mentions her by name. That's a valid point. How are you skating past that as though it doesn't matter?
I know you might have something to add to this. This girl, Christina, does not mention Lauren by name, but everything that she's doing has to do with her. She soured up that she was let go from her contracting duties with Hidden True Crime.
I don't recall Christina saying, I'm mad because I was let go by Hidden True Crime. So he's taking that from Lauren, not from Christina's TikToks.
And she didn't want to make a clean break. She wanted to say, hey, I got these conversations. And you were honest enough to admit.
She didn't want to make a clean break. Again, he's doing the same thing Dr. John did. He's ascribing motives to Christina that he has no way of knowing whether those are actual motives or not. But they work for this little narrative, so why not?
Hey, sometimes, I did say she was annoying. You know how many times I say my producer?
So if that's what she admitted to, what isn't she admitting to? And everybody's going to go over here and say, hey, I call people annoying all the time, and they don't stalk me. And again, Christina didn't stalk her, and Lauren did a lot more than call her annoying. So,
Kristen annoys me. I say it like maybe 3 times a day, but she annoys me and I love her, and she knows it. So we have this open line of communication. So if I were to inadvertently fire her and say, hey.
So I don't recall, like, again, this is, he's comparing things that aren't the same, right? Lauren didn't say to Christina's face, you're annoying. She said it behind her back. So also comparing things that aren't the same, apples and oranges, in order to keep this narrative going that Lauren's the victim.
Hey, you're done with me. She could show you a bunch of messages of like, hey, Dirty Ron told me to stop it, or had a stern conversation with me. This is what happens when you have a relationship with someone who's working for you.
Well, I want to point out that while that was a certain part of the song, the beginning of that song, the lyrics are shoot.
She really wants to get the song out there. She really wants to make sure that everybody hears the lyrics to the song. Here we go.
The bailiff, karate kick, the plaintiff. After.
Oh my goodness. That's what she was threatening to do to her. It's so scary. She's so scared. Look at her. It's very scary. It was a song by Eminem. White rapper.
I served her.
Yeah.
But nobody's going to pick that up, but I am.
Nobody's going to pick that up, but I am. And I'm going to make sure that you hear it, because even though that first verse wasn't in the TikTok, I want to make sure that you heard it, because otherwise my narrative isn't going to be as, foolproof.
Yeah.
The people sitting her at CrimeCon in the bar when she's like, I didn't do anything. I'm being attacked by a public figure. I bought my ticket here first.
She didn't do anything. She posted about you online, and there were some lyrics for songs in the background.
This is so sad.
Yeah, let me talk about that from a law enforcement standpoint. It doesn't matter when she bought her ticket, okay? The order was in place, signed by a judge, okay? Once that order...
Yeah, and Lauren knew that, right? So, having announced publicly, Lauren, that she wasn't going to CrimeCon, Christina had every reason to think that it was not a big deal and she could go, right? And so at the last minute, deciding to be Princess Lauren and show up and wreck things for Christina and try to get her arrested, we're now all supposed to, again, just go with Lauren's narrative without ever questioning any of it.
Order is signed by a judge and in place. The fact that she bought a ticket a year in advance, or whatever the case is meaningless. It has no weight of law. She's committing a crime by being within 500 feet. The fact that she...
Right, and Lauren knows that. even though Christina didn't do anything wrong, she has now put her in the position of being a criminal for attending a conference that she paid a lot of money to attend and that Lauren publicly said she wasn't going to.
Bought a ticket a year in advance doesn't mean shit. Okay?
Congratulations, Ed. You're swallowing Lauren's narrative hook, line, and sinker. Well done.
We served. She knew what she wasn't supposed to do by order of the judge. She violated it. End of story.
I want to point out too that I did not share. I did not share her TikTok account with you guys. You went and found it on your own, right, Duty Ron? I did not.
No, you definitely didn't.
Oh, she's so good. See, she's so good. I didn't share it with them. They went and found it all on their own. I didn't share it with her. I didn't do anything wrong. Look at her face. Look at her smug. Like, does this woman look like she's really afraid for her life? She looks like she's winning, and she's delighted by that. She looks like a predator with her prey in her sights.
Definitely didn't share it. I found it because, look, all you have to do is a little detective work, and I wanted to know.
Why don't you do a little detective work then, Ron?
A little bit about, because I want to be able to see a little bit of the other side of it, and I wanted to actually see what you were talking about. So I did go on my own and look, and I would never leave a nasty comment for somebody. I don't do that. And I love that you encouraged during that 9-hour live stream, Lauren, because not many creators would do that. You encourage people not to cancel.
Lauren's so great. She encouraged people not to attack Christina and not to cancel her because that suits her narrative and her phony, empathetic presentation. It's not real. She literally tried to get an innocent woman arrested, and now these guys are like, oh, your integrity is so, refreshing. These guys are... I hope that they have had a moment of self-reflection since this. I genuinely do.
People not to go over and leave comments on your behalf. You can't stop people from doing it, but you made the statement, which was very, very unique. Not many people would do that.
So, yeah, Christina can't stop people from going over and talking to Lauren either. Neither can you guys. Neither can the law.
So it's one of the many reasons why I'm friends with you is because I love that you put the...
Oh, what are the many reasons? Tell us the many reasons, Ron. Let's see. Let's hear. I'm dying to hear.
Victims and their families first. We do that here.
Okay, she exploits victims. We know that. Maybe those guys do put them first. I don't know. I've watched them once or twice, but I found them not super engaging or interesting. So I can't say. But Lauren does not do that. So these guys have been duped by this predator here.
And everybody who knows us, I've been doing this since 2019. And I started out just, in my car and, walking around with a phone and developed into a studio setting. But Ed and I are about educating, keeping people safe, giving the forensic side to these cases, and also helping people understand what's right and what's wrong.
So this is like obviously not what they usually do, because what they're doing here is they are propping up a friend of theirs with the credentials they have as ex-law enforcement when they don't actually understand what's going on, and they haven't been able to see through her grift, which is, I've seen through it, and I saw through it before this, and I am not alone by far. Many, 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 many people have felt that there is something not right with this woman for a long time. And these two detective geniuses have not picked up on that. So, again, you have to take what they say with a grain of salt, because they've obviously been hoodwinked. And I'm going to guess it's by the pretty white lady, basically, who is pretending to be something she isn't.
And in this instance here, what you've laid out, it shows everybody what's wrong with society, where people feel that it's okay to become a band of gang type mentality, where you take your beef that's one-on-one, or maybe with you and another person.
Okay, but that's the whole thing, right? This is what I'm talking about. These guys have not done their due diligence to find out what this is really about, because it's not about one-on-one. It's not about a spurned friend who wants to have, wants the relationship to continue. It's about revealing Lauren for who she actually is, right? It's a mask off moment for Lauren. And the fact that these guys are so determined to help her keep her mask on is revealing about who they are. And I mean, I know people do get duped by these types of people, and I don't want to be, I don't want other people to think that I'm dumping on them for having fallen for her shtick. But these guys are in a position of authority with a very large following, and they're repeating her lies without doing proper due diligence. So it's not the same thing, and I'm not dumping on people who did not immediately see through her.
Person, or whatever the case may be, it's a small grouping, and now make it into a whole big bunch of people who are now, slandering and trying to, get your husband in trouble with his employment or what he does. And, none of it has worked. But
so people aren't trying to get John in trouble in the way that he's suggesting. So he's kind of, what he's suggesting is that people are trying to, are falsely smearing Dr. John rather than rightfully questioning him based on, excuse me, what they have witnessed themselves and observed themselves. So again, like, these guys are doing, Duty Ron's doing most of it. Detective Ed's more quiet, but he's clearly completely on board. But they're doing the thing that Dr. John did of conflating things that aren't the same in order to position Lauren as a victim.
It just goes to show you that, the steps that people will take is just so ridiculous. This is childish high school stuff.
Okay, it's actually not childish high school stuff to try to get innocent people put in jail. So it's extremely irresponsible of him to say that. And it's irresponsible of him to dismiss any of this as silly high school stuff. It's demeaning, and it's wrong. I mean, apart from being demeaning and nasty, it's basically wrong. It's not true. Wrong as in, not do you know the difference between right and wrong, but do you know between correct and incorrect? It's incorrect.
Can I ask, as law enforcement, like, knowing that you went and you looked...
She's going to find another way to get them to see. They went and looked at all the evidence.
And you found it on your own. I mean, I guess I could use a little bit of validation. I mean, what did you guys...
I guess I could use a little bit of validation. I mean, I haven't been getting my supply lately because everybody's mad at me. So if you guys could just, prop me up a little bit, I'd appreciate it. I'm kind of sad. I'm sad and I feel threatened. Could you prop me up?
When you saw her accounts?
Ed, I'll let you go first.
It's not normal behavior. Okay.
Right? It's not normal behavior, but you're not talking about the right person. But okay.
There's something wrong. Okay, and I believe your name is hashtag attached to these.
Yeah, that's true. Anyone that can actually, it's true. Anyone can find it. All you have to do is type in Lauren Mathias on TikTok, and I actually think her videos are the first ones that pop up because she does hashtag my name.
So why is it linked if it's not associated to you?
That's exactly what I did to find it, Lauren.
It is associated to her. Did anybody say that's not? I don't think anybody ever denied that it was about her. It's about her.
Because I didn't know her name. You didn't share her name. You actually blurred her face out.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my God, Lauren is so professional and ethical. Oh my goodness. She performatively pretended to be professional and ethical, and these dummies fell for it.
You went extra steps to not dox her fully.
Correct.
Maybe in a couple of the papers there was little slips and you were like, oops. But you took that
Oops.
extra step to protect her identity, which most people wouldn't. They would be like, F you, I'm just going to, here it is. Everybody can go see it.
There's no need to protect her, though. Like, I mean, people are allowed to criticize people online. There's not, even if she said her name in the videos, it's not stalking. It's public criticism.
So I did your...
So again, these guys are just, they're implying things without saying them outright, but they're not actually telling you the truth of the situation.
I searched your name in the search bar of TikTok, and all of this stuff came up. And all of the other, as I call them, jagaloons, these are adults who act like children, are on there saying their piece about you. And, you know, the funny thing, Lauren, is
these guys are adults acting like children in my estimation here. They are full-on Team Lauren without investigating what's actually gone on, and they're accusing anybody who is questioning Lauren or saying, yeah, this is not right, she actually is really problematic, dismissing us as children, right? It's totally irresponsible. More irresponsibility from these two.
A lot of people who will talk, and Ed and I get it too. You're not alone. We get this stuff where people know nothing about us. I had just yesterday, you know, I'm fighting cancer. I'm fighting all of these little side.
I am not going to diss anybody who's fighting cancer, but fighting cancer doesn't get you off the hook for unethical behavior.
Illnesses from lymphoma, and I'm going back and forth to Sloan Kettering Cancer Center, and I haven't done live streams like in a month steady, and I get back into it just last week, and someone leaves a comment, what do you do with all your super chats and your money? Do you donate it to anybody? Do you give it to anybody? Like a nasty comment, somebody who never left a comment. And I just simply responded.
It's weird that he would take that as a nasty comment, asking if they ever donate any of the money that they make from their channel to victims' causes. Is not an attack. It's literally a question. So, again, I think these guys have shown us who they are. And yeah, we're about halfway through. I'm gonna call it for today. If you want me to carry on and do the second half, maybe say something in the comments, you know, like if I get lots of likes and lots of shares and comments, then I will consider that to mean that you would like me to do the second half of this. So again, thank you all for being here. I so much appreciate your time and your attention. And yeah, we'll see you in the second half of this one, or if I don't do the second half of this one, I'm gonna cover Grayson on Web Sleuths. So look forward to that. And thank you again for being here. Please like and subscribe and share and do all the fun things. I really appreciate that. Thank you.